On this episode of Sauce and Hensch, we discuss the Chicago Bears blowout win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sauce and Hensch is coming up. And we're on episode 5 of Sauce and Hensch, and you, me, Joe, we're both Star Wars fans, so we're going to be a little cheesy with it today. The Revenge of the Mitch,
Yes.
we'll call it, is Mitch Trubisky, and the Bears win their third straight game in blowout fashion. It's the second
Yes,
time in
sir.
3 games we've blown out an AFC South team.
Yeah. Four straight games over 30 points. That's including the loss, what should have been a win against the Lions, but still 4 straight games over 30 points. I think the Bears finally found our identity in offensively. So,
Well, Joe, I was telling you before we got on here that first podcast we did, it was just a total, I guess, crap fest on the Bears for how they were playing
Yeah.
up to that point. And I said to you, how is it that we did one episode, but maybe we'll say about a month ago, and now we're talking about going to the playoffs? 'Cause everything has fell perfectly in the Bears' way, and this doesn't happen for this franchise, like, ever.
no, I tell you, the biggest difference in my opinion is we found our identity. It's just plain and simple. We wanted to win in Nagy's fashion. He wanted to win at all costs in his fashion, and finally he said, I guess I just want to win, and we changed the scheme, and it fits our offense perfectly. Mitch's strengths play off of David's strengths, then this should have been our offense the whole entire time. One of the funniest things I saw was in the Bears win against the Viking last week. David Kaplan said, do you think Matt Nagy goes home to his wife and says, I feel dirty for how we just won, since it wasn't the way that he wants to win ball games? And I mean, it doesn't. If you're putting up over 30 points, that should tell you we need to stick with this. And
Exactly.
the Bears are sticking with it, and it's playing to the strengths of it's hitting on all cylinders, running the ball, bootlegs, short passes, and it gives your defense rest to come out and make stops. And it's just perfect. It's what we imagined for years now, all kind of coming together. So,
But for a while there, this is the stat that stood out to me today to show you how far the Bears have come since that bye week when Laser finally took over against Green Bay. The Bears only scored 23 points in the third quarter for the first 14 games. They went out and scored 21 in the third quarter just alone today against Jacksonville.
Huge, man. There was a sequence at the start of that third quarter to where we scored. I have it written down throughout the start of the second quarter. We score, the defense comes out and gets a stop, and then we score again. Like, that's huge. That's a sequence that you need. You score, and the defense comes out and doesn't let the Jaguars get back into the game. And offense, whereas in past years, it could, like in past years, and even just at the start of the season when Nagy was calling plays, it would be a situation. Let's say the Bears go in the halftime up 13 to 10. Okay, well, in past games when Nagy, before we switched to laser line plays, 13 to 10, I'd be like, here we go again. But this year, this half of the laser scheme regime of him calling plays, I was like, okay, I feel confident we'll come out here and score a touchdown and make it 20 to 10.
Exactly.
And they did exactly what you would want for your defense to come out and imagine is, well, we have the defense to where if we score, they can get a stop and then we can go score again. It was the perfect sequence. Just, it was beautiful to watch. A good drive, a score, a stop, and then the same thing again, a good drive and a score. And then all of a sudden you're talking a 17-point game instead of in games where Nagy's calling plays, you're maybe still talking a 13 to 10, maybe even a 17 to 13 Jaguars lead.
You said this, you alluded to this before we came on here. You said, I don't know if it was just me, but didn't it look like Nagy was calling plays in the first half? And the funny part is that me and my dad had the same conversation, because I even said Trubisky is throwing a lot more passes from the pocket today than he usually does.
Yeah.
And the running plays weren't as electric as they once were. I felt like we were running right up the middle again. That's what Nagy, all he did was the HB dives or HB slams. and that'd be it, right between the guards and the center, and that was all we ran. And
the one play where I was like, I felt like Nagy was calling plays and it wasn't laser was on first down at the goal line, and we try to run the Komet instead of just pounding up the middle to Montgomery, right up. Like we've used him all season. So why would you run to a tight end out to the side?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that call. It's like Montgomery's been your reliable guy all year, and we're gonna run a trick play now when we need the touchdown. Like I understand if they were like bunched up in the middle and we're trying to like stop the run up the middle, but if we just and ran around, but I didn't understand that play call whatsoever.
No.
But I can see Nagy calling plays in the first half and then Laser come out in the second half, and the team just looked so much more different. I don't know if it was Laser in that, but I don't know. That's tough to say.
I feel like it might have been, but I mean, there was only a couple times where I was scratching my head, and I was like, I tried to put it in the situation of where let's say the Green Bay's at their full strength next week and they're not resting any starters. I was looking at it as to where situations where if we were playing Green Bay that we wouldn't have been able to get away with the mistakes that we did.
Right.
So that was one of them, to where if we hand it to Komet and we don't punch it in for a touchdown, instead of we trade a field goal for a touchdown instead on that drive when you need to have a touchdown, that's something that probably comes back and bites us either against Green Bay or if we do sneak into the playoffs. Or there was a couple times where we flank out. I think it was, I have written down, it was third and two towards the end of the second quarter, and we flank out David instead of running the ball to him.
Right.
On 3rd and 2, we flank him out as a wide receiver, and it ends up being 4th down. And Mitch, we ended up getting the first down anyway, but still it was like, why are we flanking out David right here and making Mitch a pocket passer again? We didn't even bring him out on a PA rollout or anything. It was just keeping him in the back of the pocket and letting him throw. And we know what happens when we get into situations like that. And the only time that you can I also have written down, the only time that Mitch should be able to stand in the pocket and make a throw and not be on the run is if he gets rid of it in less than 2 seconds. Like, right. I tried to count a lot, like he's holding the ball 1, 2, and if he gets rid of it on the short, like 5 to 8 yard gains, to whether it be Robinson, Graham, Komet, whatever, on a little slant or whatever, I'm fine with that. I just don't like him standing in the pocket for 3 to 4 seconds, having to read the defense and then making the throw, because a lot of times you see the plays like the one to Komet to where it almost got picked, where he didn't read the safety behind him and he just threw it to Komet and it should have been a pick. Like those kinds to where Mitch is in the pocket, that's where I get scared. If he's in the pocket and he holds the ball for 2 seconds and get rid of it, that's the only time I want him standing in the pocket. Otherwise, he should be rolled out every time.
Well, I know if we go back to that first podcast, you and I were discussing like what the Bears offense should really look like. And I said, I feel like Mitch should be running a lot more bootlegs. We should be running the ball better, and we should be throwing the A-Rob. And that's what the Bears did today. That's just plain and simple. Trubisky handed off the ball to Montgomery. Montgomery had a great second half. His first half wasn't that great, but I think they were keen on him. But second half, much better. He should have had a 100-yard game. He only carried the ball 23 times and didn't even play towards the end of the fourth. And then Robinson, he went out and had a day, 10 catches for 103 yards. How many catches did he have, though?
A bunch. You got his stats and then you got David's as well. I wrote down like 5 player stats that I think really made a difference in today's game, and that's 2 of the players is David and A-Rob. So
David, A-Rob, Roquan,
and then David. I have Roquan written down too. 8 tackles and 2 interceptions. So that was another player I have written down. I had Jimmy Graham written down as well. He had a big game. 2
touchdowns.
4 catches, 69 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then the last guy I had was Mitch. Mitch for 24 for 35, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. The 1 interception, to which we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the one big thing I have written down that I think is another huge turning point for this team is one sack. He got sacked once today.
Yeah.
As to where when Foles was in and Nagy was still calling plays, I felt like we were getting sacked about 5 to 6 times a game, every game. Got sacked one time today, which is huge. So
Yeah,
but
that's always a good set to have. And I know that was the one things we had issue with was blocking and allowing too many sacks. But I will say I miss Jalen Johnson because early in that first half you saw Jacksonville go to that left side time and time again on that DB. And
we think a lot alike. I've definitely written down Jalen needs to be healthy soon because they attacked Vildor a lot. Vilder,
yeah,
I don't know if you Vildor or Vilder. They attacked him basically that whole when they
yep,
were keeping into it. They attacked him a lot, and we weren't really getting pressure on Glennon early either, and
yeah.
they gave him a lot of time to
Well,
attack Vilder. So
what the Jaguars did early in that first half, this is what I saw. They were going for these tempo throws. Glennon get it, and do one read, and then do like 1-2, get rid of it. 1-2, get rid of it. That's what you said about what Trubisky needs to do. But I felt like every time they're going to that left side, and when they scored that touchdown with Chark, who made a phenomenal grab and it was a great throw. But I was like, why isn't Eddie Jackson on that side helping him? Like Kyle Fuller doesn't really need help on that side. If we're going to help anyone, we're going to help the young guy on the other side of the field against their best receiver. And I think that's what the Bears did. They said, all right, Eddie, we're going to line you up on that side and force them to make 1 or 2, 3 reads so our guys can get back there. If they're just going 1-2, it's not giving Mac or Akeem or any of those guys enough time to get back there and put pressure on Glennon. And Glennon, terrible under pressure. I saw that in that second half. He was terrible under pressure. He's tried to force a lot more passes. That's how we started getting turnovers. But I will say that Pagano made some great adjustments heading into that second half. We blitzed a lot more. We made Glennon make some tough throws, and it paid off. We only gave up 7 points, and at that point, we had the backups in. So it didn't even really matter. If we were up 41-10, it was like, all right, well, go ahead and score. We'll take the ball back, run up 3 times, and then you guys can have it back. You know? So, I think Johnson, is one of those – it might be one of those situations where it's like, we need you against Green Bay more than we need you against Jacksonville. So we'll give you another week off, and hopefully by then you can play against the Packers and for our playoff lives. Now we're Bears and Rams fans.
Yeah, absolutely. The other big thing that we talked about, how you said Glennon, I think Glennon was getting a little too much time early. And like I said, I watched it as if we were going to face as if Packers were full strength. And there was a couple times where I counted Glennon with the ball in his hands for 4 seconds or more.
Yeah.
Rodgers will tear me apart. If Rodgers has more than 3 seconds, Rodgers will torch you. So
right.
We need to make sure that we get pressure on him and get it on him a lot and not have too many times of where fans can notice that he holds the ball way longer than he should be.
Yeah, I'm getting my stats from the NFL app, and I wish it would do a breakdown of between first half and second half because it would be a huge difference by both teams on different ends of the spectrum. But if you're a Jaguars fan, you're excited because you just clinched Trevor Lawrence with the Jets beating the Browns today.
Yeah.
So Sunshine going to the Sunshine State. But I don't know what's going on. The Bears somehow have turned it around at the right time. Might be the 3rd team in NFL history to make the playoffs after going on a 6-game losing streak. The Cardinals lost, which we needed, and the Vikings got absolutely slaughtered by Alvin Kamara and his 6 touchdowns. So they're done. We're the only – it's us and the Cardinals. We're the only 2 teams left racing. And we play Green Bay, and if Green Bay goes out and wins tonight on Sunday night, they'll clinch home field advantage because they've head-to-head matchup over the Saints earlier on in the year. So like you said a couple of times already, if they're full of strength. They beat Tennessee, there's no way they go into this Bears game full of strength. There's no way they do it.
Yeah, no. Especially with the dudes we have on defense. You don't want to send Rodgers out against Hicks and guys like that who are playing for the playoffs and aren't scared to take his head off. So that the 2 situations to where we get in are we control our own fate. We beat Green Bay, we're in. or if we lose, then we have to have the Rams lose. So
I mean,
those are the two.
The Rams
I
win.
don't really, yeah, Rams win. So either the Cardinals lose and we lose and we're in, or the Cardinals win and we win and we're in. So we control our own fate. We beat Green Bay. We're into the playoffs. And I tell you what, I think we're a scary team in the NFC if we get into the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. If you want to go back and listen to episode 3? We did a full breakdown of the Bears, and episode 4 is on the Bulls. So episode 3
Yeah,
is how we explained how the Bears get in over the Cardinals. It's a whole complicated mess I don't want to get back into.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it's a
but
lot less complicated now. Yeah, you're talking about what if we have the same record, why we'd get in?
right. So the tiebreaker
Okay,
goes to the
yeah,
Bears. Like there's a whole explanation that we saw on NFL's rule
yeah,
on their website, and we did a full breakdown. So if you want to go back to episode 3 and listen to that and understand why we get the tiebreaker over Arizona, it's on there. But as of right now, if the playoff picture stays the same by next week, the Bears would play the Saints. And you know what, Joe? The Bears played the Saints earlier on in the year with Nick Foles, and we had every opportunity to win that game.
and we couldn't score. So now we have a team that I feel confident. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I feel confident in our offense, like to
Yeah,
go out and score, which is like you've never, even like when everything was going well in 2018, I can tell you that this offense is playing eons ahead of what they were in 2018. Because even in 2018, like people will say, oh, well, 2018 was a good year for us. Yeah, it was a good year, but a lot of our scores and a lot of the reason that we made it to the playoffs is because our defense was getting takeaways and we were in scoring positions right away. But we were kicking a lot of field goals and we weren't that good in the red zone in 2018. This team is scoring like it's not. We're in the red zone. I'm like, I feel like we're down the field within a few plays. And it's like, wow, like it's eons ahead of 2018. And I seriously think we caught the hot streak at the right time. And if we get into the playoffs, the defense is playing confident. We get Jalen Johnson back. You're looking at a team that teams are looking at. That ain't the Bears that we've played the past couple of seasons, and that's scary. Everybody's always said if you get an offense paired with that defense, it's scary.
right.
And that's you saw it today. It's like we score a couple times and the defense just suffocates the opposing team's offense. And you can't do anything about it. Before you know it, you're 3-and-out 3 times in a row, and the Bears put up 3 touchdowns. Like, what are you supposed to do? You can't do anything.
Right.
And it's awesome to watch, man. It's so much fun to
It's
watch.
it feels so nice to bang your head on the brick wall and have it finally break down, and then finally have a good offense on the other side of that wall. It's like
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's like the old the Wizard of Oz song, "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." Over the rainbow is a good offense that can finally score some points.
Yeah.
And I look at this playoff picture, Joe, and I don't want to sound like the overconfident Bears fan because I sounded like
Yeah.
this back in 2017, and we lost the wild card game. There's no team in the playoff picture that I go, yeah, the Bears can't beat them. There's no
The
team
Bears are
that
gonna
there's
the
no
Bears are gonna sit down and be like, we're gonna get smoked by. Like, I
exactly.
don't feel that way.
There's no team I look at and go, the Bears can't beat them whatsoever, no matter how hard we try. It's like
Yeah.
I think we can beat Green Bay now. I think we can
I
because
do too.
they got us at a transition phase, which is there's a learning curve to that.
Yeah.
There's learning curve to learning that offense and learn that strength and finding plays that go, okay, Mitch likes this play. Let's run it for his comfort. We could beat the Saints. I think we can beat the Seahawks. If we can shut down DK Metcalf, we can beat them. The Washington football team, it's the Washington football team. They're 6-8 and they're playing Dwayne Haskins. Alex Smith's not even playing. We beat Tampa
Yeah.
Bay before, and that's with Nick Foles, and we only scored 17 points that game. We can beat the Rams. We only lost to the Rams by 14, and we only scored 10 points.
And that was also under the Nagy scheme here. Like, a lot of these losses are, you can come up with ways to why we lost it
Every time.
every time. So the other thing why it makes me so happy too is like I'd still be happy if obviously I'd still be happy if the Bears were winning under Foles and everything and we were in the same position and we were scoring 30 points a game and Foles was the quarterback. but it makes it so much better for guys like me and you who absolutely adore Mitch, no matter what everybody else says. And it's so cool to see him being the one being the one leading this charge of a miracle turnaround in a season. Like
Right.
it's just, it puts a cherry on top that it's Mitch that under center and not Foles. So,
Well, I sent you, I had this book for Christmas. My sister got me this book that's called Quarterback, and they interview a bunch of different quarterbacks around that time. And one of them was Alex Smith. And if you guys know your football history, Alex Smith was a quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Matt Nagy was offensive coordinator at this time. And the Chiefs went on a cold streak. They couldn't score points. And Andy Reid goes, you know what? Let me hand off the reins to my offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy. And Andy Reid's quote saying, sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror and blame yourself for why the team's not succeeding. And me and Joe just ripped into Matt Nagy. And last week, I believe it was, after the Minnesota game, how he put himself over the team. And, I don't think he did that. I don't think he learned that from Andy Reid, where he looked at the mirror and said, you know what, maybe it's me. Maybe it's not Mitch, because now Nick Foles is having struggles.
yeah.
That's what I read. And it irritated me. It brought me back to what you and I were saying, that it wasn't Trubisky. And Joe, I texted you earlier during the game, like people that don't know, Joe's not on social media because fans drive him up the wall and he can't stand it. My social media is at home and on social media itself, where fans are like, well, you're calling Trubisky a tremendous quarterback, you're calling him a great QB, and they're like, he's not. He's going to go back to his terrible ways. And I'm like, if you're a Bears fan, you understand that he's been busting his butt for this team for the past 4 years since he got drafted by the Bears. And if you've been paying attention, you understand, like, maybe it wasn't him. Like, Nick Foles, quote, saying, Nagy calls a play, and I know I have no time. In other words, he's saying, yeah, I know I'm going to get killed, but whatever. And it's just irritating to hear the Bears fans still think, oh, Trubisky's going back to his terrible ways. Trubisky's a terrible quarterback.
The only time Mitch goes back to his terrible ways is if he legit if he doesn't get a scheme that fits his strengths. Like, the only way you see Mitch or anybody get to the point to where it's like, oh, we have to pull him out, is if he's standing in the pocket and we're not running the ball and he's not on the run making throws.
Exactly.
100%, I will sit here and say, I'm not sitting here saying that Mitch Trubisky is the second coming of God and that he is the almighty quarterback. I'm not saying that by any means. I'm just saying that when a scheme fits him, you see why he should be a starting quarterback for the Bears. Like, and if teams aren't adjusting, or obviously teams have been able to sit down and be like, okay, well, this is what they're going to do, and it's still working. So it's like, it's not like me and Miles are sitting here saying that Mitch is better than Aaron Rodgers or anything like that. We're just sitting here saying that Mitch is simply a good quarterback when the right plays are called for him. That's all we're sitting here saying. And it just makes it 10 times better because me and Mild like him. I like Mitch more from his personality than him as a player. I just like Mitch. I like him since we drafted him. He's just been a guy that I don't get how people can sit there and not like him. But by not any means are we saying that for me, I'm not saying that. I'm guessing you're not saying that as well. I don't want to speak on your behalf.
I don't want to sit here and say that Trubisky's going to be the next NFL MVP. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's not on the same level as Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is on his own level. But do I think that Trubisky is a fifth-tier quarterback? No, I feel like he's somewhere in the third or fourth now. He's played a lot better than most quarterbacks in the league. After you get a scheme that fits him. It's like I said in the podcast before. It's like trying to put a circle in a square. That's what I'm trying to say that. Put a circle in a square hole. It doesn't fit. If you're going to make Trubisky stand in the pocket, it's not going to work. We saw that today. It doesn't work. And the one play where he threw a total duck that was picked off, he was standing in the pocket. And he tried to run. If you get him on the rollout, and he has so many more options where he's comfortable with. Like, I can throw it to Darnell or A-Rob, or I can tuck it and run. And there's one play that was ran beautifully. Play action, roll out to his right, saw a hole that you could put a semi-truck through, tucked it, ran right in, walked in, basically, and scored a touchdown.
perfect.
How easy was that for him?
And it's because it's in the scheme.
Exactly.
That play is there because that was part of the scheme. The play is ran to where if he's open, pass it. If he's open, pass it. If not, you have your legs and there should be a hole there.
Yeah.
Boom.
He went 24 for 35 today, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and the 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah. And the one, if we dive in, so obviously Mitch fans will sit there, or Mitch haters will sit there and be like, well, look at that stupid decision. Okay. Like, I will sit here and totally say that was a bad decision. Like, those plays still scare me. And that's why I still say, like, if you go back to our first podcast, Mild even texted me. He said, we were talking about drafting Trask and stuff like that. I still 100% think that we should draft a quarterback, whatever round it be. And if Trask is there wherever we are, I think we should still draft him. But the only thing that's changed for me is I don't see how you realistically can sit here and not bring back Mitch to start the season next year.
Well, that's what Adam Schefter said this morning. He said the Bears are really looking back into bringing back Trubisky. And you and I both agree that if it's going to be a comeback, a reunion between the Bears and Trubisky, it's going to be a 1-year deal. It's going to be a team-friendly deal, maybe a 2-year deal where there's a team option. So it's like, okay, well, if he does good, we can still keep him and then give him a second year. But if he does bad, we just option him out and then we'll get another guy. But
the thing is that if I'm sitting there in the front office, the thing that has changed for me is 2 things. One thing, I'm bringing back Mitch and he's starting the season, but you know what scheme fits the Bears because next year if Mitch is back, Laser is calling plays again.
Exactly.
Laser's starting it. So you know what scheme fits the Bears and works for us to win. So the only thing that changes for me is that Mitch has gotten a team-friendly contract and he's starting the year next year, but that means the scheme is still in place. So if it goes south at the start of the season and Mitch still isn't the answer, you better have a quarterback that fits Laser's system. It can't be Foles because we know that Foles can't run the system that Mitch is in because he's not mobile at all. He's not mobile at all. There's really nothing I don't even try. Even if Laser changes, we know Laser is a player's coach and can figure out some sort of scheme from Foles, but Foles is a backup. I don't want him as a starter. So you better have a guy that if Mitch goes south, whether it be you alluded to Haskins, we've talked about Darnold, and we've talked about Trask and some of the draftees that could be in the draft. So whether it be through trade or the draft, I 100% still have that guy, a backup that I know can come in and play still, and that way fans aren't like, you don't want to tank a whole season next year again to then wait for quarterbacks. So all I'm saying is bring back Mitch to a team-friendly contract. That's the only thing that's changed for me, and I still think you still have to have a guy that's not named Nick Foles as your backup, whether that be Trask, another draft pick, or Darnold or Haskins or whatever trade you want to bring in as your backup. So that way it's not like the whole season's derailed if Mitch goes south at the start of the year. But I 100% think Mitch has deserved the shot of at least coming back and starting this offense fresh and seeing where the Bears can go from there in a season.
Let me ask you this question, Joe. I just thought of this. Going into the year, you and I had good expectations. It wasn't like great or fantastic expectations for this Bears team because we knew what the offense looked like, and it was still the same offense from last year going into this year. How much more comfortable do you feel going into next year knowing that the Bears could maybe score somewhere north of 25 points every game with the defense, especially if we get Eddie Goldman back?
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say too. But I feel supremely more confident, like I said a few seconds ago, if Bill Lazor is still calling plays. Like, I don't want I just hope I hope that really hit home to the whole entire team that this is our identity and we have to stick with it. So if we stick with this identity 100%, you bring back Eddie Goldman. You saw the defense play today, and we've seen how the defense, when we're full strength, plays even without Eddie. Like that's a team, man.
It really is. That
defense. You talked about our on the line front down on the ball front four being the best in football. When Eddie comes back, like you have Robert, Hicks, Eddie, and Mack on the line. And
Don't forget about
then,
Nichols, man.
yeah, Belial's stepped up this year too.
He might win most improved player on the Bears this year. Him and Montgomery on both sides.
Yeah. And if the Bears stick with their identity on offense, man, that's a team that I feel 100% confident in going into the season. There's only a couple of things that they need to do. One of them being Allen Robinson needs to be extended and stayed on this team.
You know what? Joe, like I still have that first podcast in my mind. And considering how we did it 2 weeks ago and seeing how this Bears team has developed since then, it's aged like fine wine, man. A-Rob stepped up.
No.
We're running the ball better. Trubisky has been balling out. It's like that's just strange how that worked. And the big thing, you said it popped in my mind. We needed to find an identity. We didn't have an identity. Like for those 6 games, even at the beginning of the year, the first, maybe we had bye week 11, I believe it was. So maybe the first 10 games of the year, we were both sitting there just like, what is the Bears? What are the Chicago Bears? What is something we bring? Like the Chiefs, they have the deep ball with Pat Mahomes. That's our identity. For the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers. For the Bears, they didn't have one. It was like we have a great defense, but our offense has nothing.
Now the offense has an identity. Pound the ball with David, and then it sets up play action and PA. Like it sets up to like the scheme is PA rollouts and running the ball and play action. And
well, how many times did we run the slant route up the middle of the field because the linebackers had to respect Montgomery? So Trubisky drop back, look, and then throw a dime piece to A-Rob. And A-Rob is so, I don't want to say he's fast, but he's agile to where he gets the ball. He can get another, 6-7 yards on RAC, which is YAC, yards after catch.
Yeah.
Which he's racked up a lot today.
Exactly. And it's awesome to. I mean, if you have a chance to go back to listen to our first podcast, there are a couple things that really. There's two things that changed in that I've said that have changed, and that's it. And that's one. I bring back Mitch, but people also have to understand that we were under the assumption that we didn't really know what scheme we were under. But now, I mean, if you're talking that we lost a couple games, we lost 6 games, but we were losing just at the last second. We were putting up 30 points a game, and Mitch was under Lazer's system for that 6-game losing streak. It's totally different. Totally different what we say.
There's no way we have the 7th wild card spot and are in the hunt. We would most likely be maybe a top wild card team or competing with Green Bay for that division. I'm that confident in the Bears now. And, we haven't. You can make the good argument that the last 3 teams that we've beaten are not great football teams in Houston, Minnesota, in Jacksonville. But I said this to someone. I said, against Minnesota, we only scored, 19 points? No, it was 13. We lost 19-13.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come back and score 33. I said, if you play a football game and the one team wins 33-13, that's considered a blowout. That's the difference. It's like if we were. It's not like we weren't scoring on just bad teams and we couldn't score against good teams. We couldn't score in general. It didn't matter who you put against us. We could not move the ball for our lives. It's like we were trying to move the ball in quicksand. The more we struggled, the more we went down. But 33 points is a big difference between the 13 that we scored, and we all the confidence in the world for when Trubisky throws the ball now. Like, okay, he's going to make mistakes. But you have to understand that he didn't develop like he wanted to, like us Bears fans wanted him to, because of Nagy being that weight that held him down. It's
putting
like
him in a system that doesn't fit. That's a recipe for disaster for a young quarterback that started 1 year in college.
Right.
Like, you bring, okay, hey, young buck, you're going to play in my system the way I want no matter what. I'm not going to play to your strength at all. I'm going to call my offense, and you have to play in it. Even though not one thing that I'm calling fits to remotely any of your strengths at all, you're running it.
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
And the best part is that we've said this a lot. We're gonna sound like broken records, but Laser actually sits down with Trubisky and goes, "Okay, we practiced all week. What plays do you want me to run? What plays do you feel comfortable with?" And comfort is everything in sports. Any sport you play, that's gonna be the best word you can have for your team is they look comfortable. That's the
Yeah,
best sentence, and comfortable is the best word.
exactly. And it's great, man. It's really good to watch. A couple more, like, few more good things today. I mean, this is mostly all positive. Really, I think we've only talked about the couple negatives that were in this game. And I think we already covered them. So keep on a positive roll here. Another positive thing is that Roquan came back out in the second half.
Oh
I was
my.
scared for at the end of that first half. I was scared, like, oh God, if we lose Roquan, then there's because you just see how much of an impact he makes.
He leads the team in
Um,
tackling.
yeah, in one of the plays I have written down is just how fast he was. There was a play on third down towards the end of the second quarter. They threw it out to the running back, I'm pretty sure. Roquan chased him down, held
Yep.
him, and made it fourth down. And then they went for the fake punt in the next play, and they held on it. That's the play I was talking about, is the play right before when Roquan chased him. You just see how fast he is, man. And I was super scared that he was going to be injured and I don't care if you say one player makes an impact or not. He definitely makes an impact on defense, and if he's not with us going into that last Packers game and into the playoffs, if we do make it, the Bears aren't anything without him. So that's another huge positive for us, is that he came back out and played the same like he did in the first half. So that was huge that he wasn't injured.
Yeah, in the point, and we talked about this, is that the Bears, it might have been it was not the most exciting game playing Jacksonville, but it's always we can build momentum off of this. If we go out and we slaughter them and we just beat them down and we get more confidence for ourselves, we have more morale heading into this week 17, a lot of pressure going on. All the eyes in the NFL are going to be on the Bears and all those AFC wildcard teams, because there's like 4 teams 10-5 now, but that's for a different time. But it's Green Bay. That's your biggest rival, and I could not stand it if the Bears lost against Green Bay and got eliminated. And I hate to say that because I don't want to jinx, but we said that the most important game that since that win against Houston was that Minnesota game. We took care of business. Use this as a stepping stone against Jacksonville. I think maybe the Bears ran some plays that they wanted to test out. Be like, okay, well, we're up. What was it at one point? Like 20. It was 31 points. Let's just run some plays that we don't usually run. Let's just have some fun with it. And now we go into Green Bay, and hopefully that will be in that wild card weekend, and we'll be playing the Saints. And I have confidence in the Bears against the Saints because the Saints tend to struggle in the playoffs. Drew Brees hasn't really impressed me, and I know the Bears defense has been doing better against the run game than they did beginning of the year. But that just came from being worn down and Akeem Hicks battling injuries all year.
Yeah, it's night and day for the defense, man. They actually have they actually have a chance to catch their breath, and they're not being asked to and go and make a stop after a 3 and out over and over and over again.
Exactly.
They actually have a chance to catch their breath. I think maybe in these last 4 games, I'm including the Lions too, maybe once or twice can I remember a time where the defense got a stop and then immediately had to go back out and get another stop.
I was going to say that I think the Bears maybe punted 4 times today, and 2 of them were at the end of the fourth quarter when we just ran the ball 6 times.
Yeah, and a lot of them were spread apart for obviously you're gonna have to punt in a game. You're not gonna score every single time. So, but the thing is, when you punt, the reason the Bears were getting in trouble with their defense was we were punting over and over repetitively. If it's at the start of the first quarter and at the start of the second quarter, that's fine. That's totally fine because your defense, it's different because your defense isn't going out, getting a huge 3 and out, and then all of a sudden then you go 3 and out, and then you're being asked to get another huge stop again.
Yeah.
It's night and day. This defense can go get a big stop and then go get a rest and know they're going to get a rest. and feel confident that they're going to get rust because the offense has proven that they can put together drives over and over for 4 straight games now, and they feel confident. It just everything, that locker room's probably night and day from when Nagy was calling plays and that was all going on. It's night and day, I guarantee you.
All right, so I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and then I think we can wrap up after that. First question is going to be, who would your player of the game be for today's win over Jacksonville?
Player of the game. Man. I'll probably go. Can I do offensive and defensive or what?
Let's see who you pick, who you think the number 1 star is, because we might be thinking the same thing. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I say A-Rob was offensively.
Okay, so is your defensive one going to be Roquan? Because that was going to be my player of the game. Okay, so at least we got both of them. Yeah. Those are the 2 guys I would definitely agree with you is that A-Rob made some clutch catches when we needed them, running those slant routes. And that's what you need is a wide receiver that you can go to on 3rd down. That's time of possession right there. Run. All right, well, it's 3rd and 5. Who can we go to? Let's put everyone on the right side of the field, spread out their defense, and go to A-Rob. Because if you put A-Rob on an island with another DB, that's a nightmare for the DBs. A-Rob is a great route runner. And the Jaguars, his former team, coincidentally, did not have a great time today. They couldn't stop him. And he catches everything. That's what I really like about A-Rob. And then I know for Roquan, he was everywhere, man. You saw the ball, he was there. He had 2 picks. One of them was clutch because he got us the lead got us in field goal range. And then the other interception really was like the icebreaker. Was like, all right, yeah.
It was a heck of a play by Danny, too.
Yeah, Trevathan tipped it right to Roquan. It was kind of like – now, at that point, it was more the nail in the coffin for the Jaguars, so to speak, because after that, their momentum was gone. It died, and the Bears, after that, was just a freight train going through Jacksonville.
Can we touch on how stupid Jacksonville was at the end of that first half? Like, even said it. Like, the Bears have all their timeouts. Why are you basically giving them 15 free yards for Santos to make an easier field goal?
Yeah,
what the heck are you doing?
When we threw that interception and they got the touchback, I went upstairs to go to the bathroom because I was like, it's halftime. And then I heard someone yell interception from downstairs, and I go, what is going on? I thought for sure Jaguars were just going to take the ball and knee it and go into halftime with a tie game and be like, all right, well, that's a win for us, considering that we haven't won a game week 1. We've lost 13 straight games. I didn't understand that. That's probably the worst call I've seen going to a halftime locker room since when Tony Romo was still in the Cowboys and he threw a pick 6 to end the half.
Yeah, it's different. Okay, so like you want to go for it, not kneel. Okay, whatever. Be aggressive. Okay, whatever. But you're gonna because it would have been a 50-yard field goal. We had 7 seconds left in the half.
Yeah. Then
if you don't let the Bears get any yards, it's a 50-yard field goal for Santos with wind, they said, coming at him. Yeah. Instead, you put all your players on the goal line.
Yeah.
And let them, with the Bears with 2 timeouts left, and let them get 10 to 15 more yards for Santos to make it a chip shot instead.
I instantly turned my phone on and saw that everyone was back, and I looked and I saw it said 2 timeouts. I went, then why is everyone at the goal line? So Trubisky just got the ball, completed the commit. Komet got the first down, fell over. Santos, who broke Robbie Gould's record for most consecutive field goals made by a Bears kicker, nails the field goal. We go in the halftime with the lead. That's just the most Jacksonville Jaguar thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I wanted to hit on that play because I could not believe – I mean, not necessarily the pick, but I couldn't believe that they put all their defensive players back at the goal line.
Yeah.
I had to hit on that because I've never seen a play call that stupid by a defense before. Well, I couldn't believe
it. I needed to get energized before the game because, Christmas time, my uncle is a Jaguars fan for today's game, and I did not want to, beat on a dead horse because I knew if that was my team getting beat up, I wouldn't want someone, cheering every time a play went their way because if you had 100 plays, about 80 to 85 went the Bears' way today. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I felt bad for him, but I kept telling him like, "Oh, you're gonna get Trevor Lawrence. You're gonna get Trevor." You know, he probably was getting sick of me telling him he's gonna get Trevor Lawrence. But you know, that's just rough because us Bears fans, we went through a rebuild ourselves, and we know what that feels like to just be a bad football team.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if you get beat by a team that's better than you, that's fine. But as you hit that end of the first half, the Jaguars just really beat themselves by bad coaching.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. What was your second question you got there, Sauce?
what do the Bears need to bring into this Week 17 game against Green Bay?
I think they need to bring the same energy they brought today because a lot of teams could sit there and be like, even in the Bears case scenario, could sit there and be like, it's Jacksonville. Like, we can come in and we can steamroll them. But I mean, you just saw it right from the beginning with Hicks clapping and screaming when he got a tackle. Like, they were treating it like a playoff game, so which the Bears have to win. So for that, you have to come in to Green Bay, even if let's say the Packers win tonight and there's no reason for them to play the starters and Devontae and Aaron Rodgers and them aren't playing. You have to come out and treat it like Rodgers and Devontae are still playing.
Exactly.
And you have to win because, I mean, which I think we will, because you win, you're in the playoffs. So, I mean, that's everything you could ask for as a player, like to control your own destiny.
Exactly.
Like, that's the best thing you could ask for as a player is that the Bears can sit there and be like, if we go out, play our tails off, no matter who is taking the ball on the other side, we control if we play longer or not, or if we're sitting at home on our butts. Like, if I was a player, I wouldn't want to be sitting there hoping that Kyler Murray loses to the Rams. I want to sit there and be like, we just won. We're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd rather go to the playoffs as a 9-7 team than an 8-8 team.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all you could ask for, and so I think for the Bears, what I want to see is just complete energy from start to finish, group tackling like they did all game, even towards the end of the game today. When we were up by 31, you saw if one guy made a hit, there's 4 other guys around him making a hit. Like, that just shows that they want to be in the playoffs, and if they keep pounding the ball, one of the things, I don't know if it's because he was hurt but he was returning the ball too, so I don't think he was hurt. But I was really happy to see is we both love Patterson, both me and you do.
Yeah.
But I think the Bears understand that David's ready to have all that pressure on his shoulder to be the top running back.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see him get all the carries as running back number 1 today, which I want to see. Like, after he gets a run, I want to see him get the ball again and be in the backfield again, which I really was happy with.
Yeah, I know Cordell was nursing an injury there for a little bit. Did he even play today? I don't think he did anything today, did he? Did he return a kick?
He returned. They kicked. He only got one that he was able to return, but he returned all day today.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we can give it to Montgomery. And, that guy, I got to look. Artavius Pierce, never heard of the guy. 2 great carries in a row. I go, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And it's the undrafted rookie out of Oregon State. I said, man, that guy ran the ball good. After that first run, I saw him in the backfield again. I go, let him finish it. Like, let him score. And he had some great blocking, and he scored. But
what about you? What do you think? What do you want to see in the last game this season?
I think that the Bears need to just celebrate this win as if they just beat the best team in the league, even though they clearly didn't. But in my opinion, I hate playing teams that have low expectations. Like the Jaguars, I hate playing teams like that because it's like, if we lose, that's gonna be embarrassing. Like, I can't.
So if we win, everybody's like, "Oh, you're supposed to murder them."
Right. So I'd rather just beat them and be, all right, well, we won. A win's a win. But if we go into that Green Bay game and it's Jordan Love, the quarterback they drafted out of Utah State, let's just go beat up on a rookie. Act like you said, act like it's Aaron Rodgers. Just beat him up. Make him.
It is. They should be. The Bears should not be going into next week searching for reasons to energize themselves.
Right.
You have enough to energize yourself sitting here right now. You win, you're in the playoffs.
Right. And
they shouldn't be searching. So
if the Titans go out and win their game, and the Packers are now in a situation, if they'd be tied with the Saints at that point, right? They'd both be at 4 losses. So the Saints could leapfrog them. If the Packers lose, the Bears could play spoilers and force Green Bay to play a wild card game against the Bears.
yeah,
We'd be playing Green Bay for the 3rd time this year, and then everything would be on the line. But if the Packers go out and win against Tennessee, they clinch home field advantage, then we play the Saints.
yeah,
So that's going to be a very interesting game tonight. If you're a Bears fan, really want to focus up on that game Sunday night, Tennessee and Green Bay. I'm a big Derrick Henry fan. I even tweeted on our Sauce and Hensch page that he should win MVP. But if I'm Nagy and I'm talking to my team, you just have to tell them, guys, the season rides on this game. I don't think I need to tell you how important this game is. Just go out and play football like you have. Don't overcomplicate. Just go. Don't be a hero.
yeah.
I have confidence in Bill to go out and call the plays that we need. I have confidence in Chuck to get our defense fired up and make some big plays out there. Make sure just totally swarm to the ball and smother the offense. Don't even let them move down the field. Make it feel like they're running to brick walls every time they get the ball. And the offense move down the field quickly and efficiently. That's what I like about this offense now. It's not deep shot after deep shot. It's all right, well, we're going to get a 5-yard completion that has like a really high completion percentage, and he's going to run for another 3 yards. Perfect. Fine. Keep Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to say exactly what the Bears are going to need going to that game because there's 2 situations we can be in. But that's definitely it. It's just we have to come in just knowing that they tried their best, and if they don't make it, then that's fine. We have a lot of stuff we can build off for next year. And if we do make it, that's just icing on the cake. Let's go get New Orleans.
Yeah. So one more thing let's give a Sauce and Hensch warm congratulations to David Montgomery on reaching his first 1,000-yard rushing season.
Yeah.
Today, congratulations to him. That's awesome. And you said you were going to show the picture. You said you're trying to get a good picture of it, but it just shows what happens when you run the freaking ball and have a good scheme for a guy like that. And the difference in his stats between the first half of the season and now, it's night and day.
Yeah.
1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. And that puts him at 1,000 and makes her a wide receiver and running back combination. Allen was over 1,000 last week, but a wide receiver and a running back over 1,000 yards. And you just see that they flourish in the scheme that we're running right now. So.
I'll say one thing. It's not supposed to be comedic, but it may come off as this. But you and I, we agree. The Bears are who we thought they were. They are a team that can win football games. And for a while there, we were really irritated. And Mags, right? Mags asked me. He goes, what's the difference for your views on Trubisky now than when you thought that Nick Foles was your starting quarterback and you didn't want Trubisky back? And I said, I didn't want Trubisky to come back. That's not what I meant. I said, it's just that Foles was doing so much better than Trubisky. We were actually scoring points, which we needed. And I said, I've been saying that for forever. But I said, but now that he's comfy and playing football, the Bears are a much better team, and it's showing it. 3 straight wins, and we have control over our own fate. 1 win away and 1 Cardinals loss away from going to the playoffs.
Well, just one win away. If we win, we're in. But just to cover one more time, if we win, we're in. The only situation that we get in if we lose is it. The only way we get in the playoffs if we lose is if the Cardinals lose.
Right.
So it's simple as that. There's not multiple teams you have to watch, Bears fans. It's 2 situations. We win, we're in. If we lose, the Cardinals have to lose. So those are the 2 situations. So just go out there and play like we've been. There's no if you run the same scheme that we've been running and the defense does what they are, there's no reason concerned that we win the game. Unless for some reason, in my opinion, the only way we lose next week is if, even if Rodgers is playing, the only way we lose is if Rodgers has one of his miracle games that he throws for 400 plus yards and just, you can't do one of those games where you can't do anything about it. That's the only way I think we lose next week. Otherwise, if we come out and play the way we've been playing, I think the Bears are in the playoffs at 9-7, or one of the scarier teams coming out of the wild card. So,
All right, Joe. Any final thoughts before we close out the 5th episode of Sauce and Hensch?
tell you what, man, it's freaking awesome that we're in a situation where we're above 500, and the last game of the season means playoffs are bust. So, and if we win, man, we're on fire, and we are el fuego going into the playoffs, which is something that you can not just wish for, right? That's something you always wish for, is going hot into the playoffs. So if we win that game, we're in the playoffs, Bears fans. So I know half of you are like, well, that means another season of pace and nag. I don't care. Like, if you're a fan of the team, man, you want to be in the playoffs. You want to be in the playoffs.
No matter what cost.
Yeah, exactly.
My final thoughts is this. Mine's going to be a little bit longer, so bear with me. It's been a year of ups and downs for the Bears. Very high ups and very low downs. Like, we hit rock bottom after that loss against Detroit, but somehow, some way, the Bears didn't lose hope, and the true Bears fans didn't either. Like, of course we get irritated because we know what they can be, and they're showing us what they are, and they're a really good football team, and these wins show it. We're beating up teams with our offense and slowing them down with our defense. So if you're a Bears fan, I know you have your superstitions. So whatever superstitions work for you, go do it week 17. Do it next week. I've elected not to wear any Bears apparel, and it's been working. So I'm gonna keep it that way.
This superstition, you guys can't see it, but this is an old sweater, and I wore it the first win of this winning streak against the Texans. And I know it's gonna sound nasty, but I put it on a hanger after every single live. I haven't watched it since the Texans win, so it's going right up on the hanger after this podcast. It ain't getting washed. I can tell you that.
You know what? And I told my family. I said, you know what? Another tradition that's been working for us is that doing the podcast right after the Bears win. So we're gonna keep it that way, no matter how this game goes next Sunday. So I have to say now is like and subscribe to our YouTube.
Sure.
You can also follow us on Twitter for our content. Always sending out tweets every day about sports, not just Chicago, but really anyone. And make sure you tell other people about this. If they're a diehard Chicago fan or just like talking sports, or they get up in the morning and just listen to podcasts, show them Sauce and Hensch. It's a great way to open up your morning with two guys that have great passions for their football team and basketball teams, and we have great passion for our baseball teams. Just the Cubs and Sox haven't really been doing much this offseason just yet. But we another one planned for this week on the Bulls, as they play another game today at against who do they play today?
We got the Warriors at 8:00 tonight.
Golden State, 8:00 and Eastern time. Yep. So make sure you share this on your Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and just tell people about the podcast. We're getting great members viewership. So I know there's people out there. There's a Sauce and Hensch fandom starting to build up.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I love just being able to share my thoughts and share the passions about our teams. You're the only. I've told people you're the only person that can out yell me during the games. You're the only person. You give me credit. That game against the Patriots 2 years ago, I gave you credit. I was like, he out yelled me, and that never happens. It never happens. So when I was like, I want to start a podcast, I instantly went to you, and 5 episodes down, and we're having a great time. A lot of great content. You have people telling you that it's great content. So I want to get this going. I would like to have other people view it and have a great time listening to us talk Chicago. It is a blast.
We're going to try to pump out a couple more this week. So be on the lookout for those. As Miles said, we'd like to pump out a couple this week. So be on the lookout for that. And we appreciate whoever the subscribers are right now. Appreciate you guys listening to it. We hope you enjoy it. We try to make it fun. It's easy to make fun when you have passion like me and Sauce do about teams. So
dude, I got fired up at the end of that first half of the way they played. I felt so bad, but I was beating red. I don't know, dude. I think it's great to have great passions, but yeah. So it was now a great first half for me. And you probably feel the same way I was, But that's going to do it for the 5th episode of Sauce and Hensch. Be on the lookout for episode 6 later on in the week. It's going to be on the Chicago Bulls. Hopefully there'll be 1 and 2 when we do the next one. It's been a slow start, but it's a learning curve. So we'll talk about that on the next episode. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time here on Sauce and Hensch.